The British don't seem to realise the scale of the massacre they've effected until on the 21st of September they march out of the Red Fort to follow the rebel army as they travel south to Lucknow. And this is what they see as they march through the city. The march was simply awful. This is Richard Barter. Our advance guard, consisting of the cavalry and artillery, had burst and squashed the dead bodies which lay swelled to an enormous size in the Chandni Chowk. And the stench was fearful. Men and officers were sick all round, and I thought we'd never get through the city. It was a ride I don't care ever to take again. And the horse felt it as much as I did, for he snorted and shook as he slid, rather than walked, over the abominations with which the streets were filled. In many instances, the positions of the bodies were appallingly lifelike. Some lay with their arms uplifted as if beckoning. And indeed, the whole scene was weird and terrible beyond description. Zafar is put on trial. The entire area between the fort and the Jama Masjid is bulldozed, is destroyed, is dynamited. The order goes down to level the entire city. And only the arrival of John Lawrence after 3 months stops this. The Jama Masjid was going to be destroyed, levelled and replaced with a Gothic cathedral. The Red Fort was going to be entirely smashed down. Luckily, Lawrence cancels this order, but enough is destroyed. About a third of the city is completely levelled by the time the orders are reversed. Zafar is put on trial. He's lost his mind by this stage, having seen all his children slaughtered in front of him. Now, legally, Zafar is the overlord of the East India Company. The British have the right to trade in India through the Charter of Queen Elizabeth I. They have the right to rule in India only as the representative and the tax collectors of the Mughals. Now, this may not be the reality of their power, but it is the legal basis of it. So the idea of putting Zafar on trial as a rebel is a direct inversion of the reality. In the same way, the accusation made against him that he is leading an international Muslim conspiracy which stretches to Mecca and Tehran. These are, again, are things which echo down the centuries today. Is a complete inversion of the reality, which is the fact that the reality is that this was led initially by largely Hindu sepoys who rose up initially against largely military grievances in the army. So this is not the finest hour for British justice. The 5 military judges anyway don't speak Hindustani, which is the language of the defense. And Zafar and his wife, Zeenat Mahal, are sentenced to exile and transportation to Burma. They can't be hung because Hodgson has promised them their life, but they are given the highest penalty that the court is capable of, which is transportation. The night before Zafar is expelled from the city and the palace of his forebears, after 332 years, the Times war correspondent, William Howard Russell, the veteran of the Crimean Wars and one of the few British writers to give anything like an honest description, who wasn't, in a sense, the only non-embedded journalist in the 1857 Uprising, goes to visit Zafar. He's been told that this man is the evil genius, the bin Laden of his day, pulling a million spider webs towards conspirators in all directions, and with links to Tehran and so on. What he finds, instead, is this: a dim, wandering-eyed, dreamy old man with a feeble, hanging nether lip and toothless gums. Not a word came from his lips. In silence he sat day and night, with his eyes cast on the ground, as though utterly oblivious of the conditions in which he was placed. His eyes had the dull, filmy look of very old age. Some heard him rambling on about his dreams and quoting verses of his own composition, writing poetry on a wall with a burnt stick. So this is the last image that we have of the Mughals in Delhi. The same dynasty which from its very beginning had been so obsessed with the aesthetic, with gardens, with architecture, with fine miniature painting. Their last knight, Zafar, who is deprived of pen and paper, is still writing poetry, but with a burnt stick from the fire on the wall. Now, no one knows whether those lost verses on the wall are the same as the verses that he is alleged to have written in exile in Rangoon, which the Desis among you will know from Muhammad Rafi and Lal Kila, about no yards of Indian soil being given for his graves. But I'll just end the evening with a reading of those last couplets of Zafar in the version of Ahmed Ali, who translated them in exile himself in Karachi. And he's converted a series of disparate couplets into a single English poem. So this is the last verses of Zafar in exile in Rangoon. And the poem is dedicated to his wife, Zeenat Mahal. When, in silks, you came and dazzled me with the beauty of your spring, you brought a flower to bloom, love within my being. You lived with me, breath of my breath, being in my being, nor left my side. But now the wheel of time has turned, and you are gone, no joys abide. You pressed your lips upon my lips, your heart upon my beating heart, and I have no wish to fall in love again. For they who sold love's remedy have shut shop, and I seek in vain. My life now gives no ray of light. I bring no solace to heart or eye. Out of dust to dust again, of no use to anyone am I. Delhi was once a paradise, where love held sway and reigned, but its charms lie ravished now, and only ruins remain. No tears were shed when shroudless they were laid in common graves. No prayers were read for the noble dead. Unmarked remain their graves. The heart distressed, the wounded flesh, the mind ablaze, the rising sigh, the drop of blood, the broken heart, tears on the lashes of the eye. But things cannot remain, O Zafar, thus. For who can tell? Through God's great mercy and the Prophet, all may yet be well. Thank you very much.